Or what's your family life? Is it loving? Do they care about you? Do you have friends at all? Is your job stressful? Are you appreciated? Do you like your job? Is there anger at your home so you're not safe? I mean, all of that will make your health be at risk.
Sure.
So you really look, where is the person's joy? Do they have joy? Those things I look at, and we need to each look at, because if we're in a place where we don't have those, how do we support our body? Because our mind is trying to be safe and figure out where it can be safe, and our spirit's getting crushed by hard situations around it.
Yeah.
So
great variables that play a role in our everyday life, plus along with our stress levels. You know, and then to even take it to the next step of trying to make that person better.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's huge. That is really huge. And so now another thing that I want to, you touched on a little bit, your environment. I want to talk about, now does that actually also have a role in the...
I think it really does.
Yeah.
You know, well, one, the environment of your feelings and how you're safe or not, or stressors. But if you look, the environment greater in the whole, you know, we have Woodwinds Hospital, for example, is a great example of how we've taken the patient environment and made it better for them. Their family members can stay in the room. They've done some other things to help with healing.
Sure.
It's really patient-friendly. And they've had some great outcomes.
Yeah.
Also, the Institute for Health and Healing at Abbott Northwestern, now that's taken environment to yet another step. And if you haven't seen it, go.
Okay.
I'd invite you all to go, but don't go all at the same time. It's not a very big space. But it's in the corner of a parking garage. Parking ramp. Now you think about a parking ramp, you smell exhaust, you hear cars, it's kind of humid, sometimes it doesn't feel safe. Well, they picked this corner, and they had a man who knew about ley lines. Do you know ley lines? They're L-E-Y. They're the energy lines in the earth. They're kind of what you note if you go in a place and you feel real good there. You go another place you don't. Ley lines are about, we all have spaces where we feel good. Well, he looked at the ley lines and put the clinic right there.
Oh, okay.
And then they actually have symbols on the posts when you go in, and sometimes on the floor, that balance what they couldn't quite accomplish, because of course we have city blocks in Minneapolis. And then on the concrete, the builder who built hospitals was asked, "You're kidding me, you want me to put rose quartz down on the floor before the concrete?" Okay, I'll pour it in. But the rose quartz equalized the energy. And then when you go inside, they made sure they had parts of water and earth and wood, and so they have bamboo, they have a fountain and balance, and then they have alternative providers in there. Traditional Chinese medicine and nutritionists and massage. But you go in, you're not in. You walk in the door and it's like you're in this whole other world. Now that environment creates a wonderful place for good healing. And that's their outpatient clinic, and then they also bring that to the hospital. So I think environment's a great thing. It's part of bedside manner too. I mean, how we treat people when we're with them, with respect and
dignity.
listen.
Wow. I was just actually introduced to that this last weekend in regards to, you know, what your number is and what part of the house that you feel more comfortable for romance, and also your success rates and with your business, and where to put certain things.
Oh,
and where your
interesting.
energy is. And depending upon the day that you were born, you know, you actually have a certain number. And I looked at my number and where I'm at, and I'm actually correct in my house. And it was amazing when we purchased our house how I had such a warm feeling for that house. And that's kind of a blend of how you actually complement each other too. It is amazing. It really is. And well, so when we're talking about our environment, so why should we take care of that particular environment then?
Well, you know, we're part of our environment, and so we have this body for one life, maybe, well, this body probably for one life. We might go on to others, I don't know, but we really want to do the best with it and have it be as healthy as we can. And in doing that, we also need to take care of our environment, our water, our air, you know, the earth, because it's all part of us, and how we treat the other living things on the earth, I think it's part of us. And we're pretty cavalier to think You know, we used to, when I grew up, we used DDT for everything.
Oh, wow.
And now it's banned, as it should be, but we banned it and sold it south of the border, so the South America was using it for a while. I don't know if they still are, but we'd sell the DDT to them so the chemical companies could do their thing, but then the strawberries or whatever would come back with it, so we'd still get it. And we think that it doesn't affect us, but you look, the two-legged, two-headed frogs, the four-legged frogs, you know, all of the changes. You know, what are we doing today that might affect our children and our grandchildren? So that environment is important.
Right.
Because we need our earth. An herbalist will say the herb that you need to be healthy is within 1 mile of where you are, where you live. Well, if we kill the earth, it's not going to work that way, and we no longer in compatibility. We're actually fighting against each other.
Yeah.
And so that environment is also very important.
That's why right now with the new environment to reuse, and that's so important. And we even have a great show here with the green guy, and he's trying to introduce that to also, you know, a lot more people too. And so, you know, kudos to him for doing that. Yeah, that's great. And so there's some things that I'd like you to maybe give me some examples of people you've seen, and also how you've actually helped them. So that's always good to have stories.
It is good, and I can think of one woman that came to me for a homeopathic consult, and she had vertigo, which is dizziness.
Yes.
And her vertigo would be so severe it would throw her down to the ground on her hands and knees, and she'd be vomiting. And of course, when you vomit, you move your head, which made her vertigo more. These would come when she's driving on the freeway. They'd come after she raises farm animals, and she'd be delivering them, and they'd come right after she was done with the delivery. Thankfully, but still, she was incapacitated for a number of hours, to even a day.
Wow.
And she had tried multiple medical doctor prescriptions, but nothing seemed to help. She came to me, gave her a remedy. Within 3 weeks, she had absolutely no episodes, and these were happening more frequently. She'd had them for about 20 months. So they were happening more frequently. She took her remedy twice, within 3 weeks had none. She had a little one come back, so she ends up taking about a remedy every 4 weeks or so. And she's doing quite well. But she's also done some environmental things. She looked at when she had these, and she found out if she was stressed. The freeway part was a stress. The birth, because she was worried the newborn wouldn't come out quite right. And she would be tired. So if she took care of these things, it helped. And so she's done that, and she's also done some neurobiofeedback to learn to relax so she doesn't get so tensed up, to put her in that state. So now she just carries around a little remedy. If she gets a hint, she takes it. She hasn't had any vertigo now for months.
Wow.
Which is wonderful. So it was kind of a balancing of her life. And meditation was her other thing. She started doing that with music and some creative time. So she was recharging.
Yeah. And I'm hearing more and more positives about the meditations, especially in the stressful life that we have.
Yeah,
very, very stressful.
Lots of information.
Yeah.
Too little time.
Okay. And so I know that a lot of people are educating themselves. Like you said, you know, she was looking at why, doing her own research in that sense. So I want to talk about, you know, what kinds of self-care are helpful and what self-care looks like.
Well, self-care is really important because we're our own best friend. And again, we only have this body for right now. So if we don't take care of ourselves, who will? I mean, nobody else is going to take care of it as well as we can. So looking for balance, meditation is great. And I might say meditation could be sitting and going, but it also can be walking. It also could be music. It's something, it could be something that's creative where you're focused. It's about focus and clearing out all the other voices. And that is also meditative. So looking at where you can do that. And you want to look for balance. You know, what you can do that gives you enough food. You get your 5 to 9 or 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables today.
Sure.
You know, the diet I best heard was if your plate for the whole day now has all the colors of the rainbow, then you've had a good diet. And I thought, well, yeah, if you get red, purple, yellow, green, get some white, I suppose. I don't know if that's in the rainbow, but all of those things, then you get a pretty balanced diet.